If you are sick and tired of dealing with insurance sales objections when you set the appointment, door knock the appointment, or hear initial objections early on in your sales call, this video is absolutely for you. I am going to give you the simple one-step strategy to rebuttal the most common insurance sales objections out there, so you don't have to fray, you don't have to worry anymore, that you now have a strategy to convert more of those objections into interest and hopefully buyers. My name is David Duford, owner of Duford Insurance Group, where I train and recruit agents nationally to sell things like final expense, Medicare, and annuities, both face-to-face and over the phone. So let me jump right in here and tell you about the script that I teach my agents when we're trying to deal with the common objections we hear setting appointments over the phone or at the door, or when we're starting a telesales call and we hear some initial knee-jerk objections, or we're sitting down with the client in person in their home and hear some initial resistance. So first of all, I need to teach you the structure of the script, and then we'll apply a very simple example of how you can use this against really all objections, like 90% of them, without even having to change the wording. It's actually pretty incredible. So the structure of what we're doing is called ASC, ask. You have to A, answer the objection. You have to S, sell the appointment. And then C, you have to close the appointment. So how does this actually sound? Essentially, the script is going to sound like this. That's okay. All I need is 5 minutes to show you how this program works, and what you do with the information, Mr. Prospect, is entirely up to you. So can I come in? Or how does 2 o'clock or 10 sound? Some kind of close like that, to where you now take the next step to proceed the sales presentation. So that's as simple as it sounds. So let me give you a couple of examples of common objections you probably are hearing and how you can hear this applied in actual reality. So a prospect says something to you like, I don't need life insurance. What do you say to that? You say, hey, that's okay. All I need is 5 minutes to show you how this programs work, and what you do with this information is totally up to you. Can I come by at 10, or would 2 work better? You've answered that objection. You didn't need to go into detail about it and go into some dissertation about why life insurance is important and so on and so forth. We've just simply answered that objection with that's fine and acknowledged their feelings, and then sold them on why it's still okay to meet. Maybe you hear an objection like, could you mail me the information if you're setting an appointment over the phone or starting a conversation with a prospect? Maybe they want you to email you something. You say something as simple as this, hey, that's fine. I just need a few minutes to show you how these programs work, and what you do with that information is up to you. If you're setting the appointment, you would close. So would 10 o'clock or 2 work better? If you're in the actual telesales call, you would go back to your script and say, so what were your thoughts, concerns when you requested this information? Or wherever you left off in the script, you simply jump back on and then ask that question to retain control. So think of all of these kind of objections that you experience. You can actually overcome a ton of them using this very simple and easy to use script. Now let's talk about the psychology of why this works, because some of you may be skeptical. I know I used to be skeptical. Why would something as simple as this work? David, we're not addressing what their concerns are when they say the objection. Why would they want us to come over if we can't answer the objection? And this is kind of an important rule to learn as a new agent that, frankly, it took me years to really grasp and understand, and it wasn't until I started training you guys that this became reality. And it comes down to this. You can't believe what your prospects say. Sometimes your prospects shouldn't believe what they say, okay? It is many times what you're hearing in an objection is not the actual case or the underlying truth. The words that you hear come out of the mouth of your prospects on initial objections sometimes is just a guttural, lizard brain, survival mode reaction that is really them saying they're afraid of risk and don't want to take time with a stranger, or maybe they have concerns about buying and all this stuff in it, but it comes out saying, could you just mail me the information, okay? But the point is what they're saying isn't based off of contemplative, thoughtful thinking. It is a reaction, okay? And it is based on an emotional state that the client is currently in. If you have children, you'll know exactly what I'm about to describe here because this happens to you all the time. It happens to me. And it is a perfect example of the lizard brain in action and why rebuttaling in this way can work so effectively. So I remember clearly 2 years ago, my daughter Emily asked me as I was walking up the stairs to probably film some incredible YouTube content. Sorry, I got to move out of the way of this sun. She said, Daddy, it was like 11 in the morning, Daddy, can I have a popsicle? And I said, no, you can't have a popsicle. And I said it like that. I said it with an air of authoritativeness. I said it with conviction too. My instinct and my reaction, that was ridiculous that my kid wanted to have sweets that earlier in the day, and it was just about lunchtime. And of course, I didn't sit here and think about this, but it was my instinctive reaction to this. And I meant it, okay? But as I was walking up the stairs, and you guys with kids know exactly what was going to happen, what did my child say to respond to that? She said, please? And I hesitated a half second, and I said, sure. And I kept walking up the stairs. And I thought as I walked up the stairs how ridiculous that was. I was convicted that I didn't want her to have the popsicle, but I compromised right away. But if you had asked me and paused on the point where right before she said please and my reaction to it, you would have thought Dave meant what he said. He was believable in what he said. But my daughter retorted anyway, and the response was, yeah, okay. This is what your prospects are going to do when you always are anticipating and rebuttaling the objections. You will be shocked at the first initial levels of commitment that they have to this objection to watch it just melt away, okay? So this is why you've got to rebuttal those objections always. You can't take them for face value. And you got to understand there are things going on in that environment around your prospect that may be affecting their initial reactions in a negative way that you just can't see. So what's the moral of the story? You don't need a long, drawn-out type of objection to justify why you should show up anyway at the client's house. You just have to answer it. And sometimes just saying that's okay and then going into selling the appointment and closing is all you need. And many times, like I said, 90% of the time, that's all you need. The key things around saying this objection to communicate this, so I scoot over a little bit, is that you got to do three things I think make a big difference here. Number one, you have to answer it as briefly as possible. That's fine. That's okay. No problem. Something like that that's inconsequential, non-threatening. That brings in the point two, is you got to master the tonality. It's king here. You don't want to sound upset or angry. You want to accept them at face value. And you want to say it in a way that says it's okay. Imagine yourself, putting your hands up and somebody get mad at you and you acknowledge that it's okay that they feel that way. That's fine. That is the tonality you want to say it, and then continue as you sell the appointment. And the last little bit of advice on using the strategy is don't forget to close. That's probably the most common thing that people do, is they do everything right, they get the tonality right, they answer it right, but they forget to offer the 2 times close, or they forget to ask a question in return if you are hearing this knee-jerk objection on the phone when you're doing telesales, or they rebuttal it on the phone to set an appointment face-to-face and they forgot to ask the times. So make sure you close, close to get to the next step of wherever you are in your presentation. So I hope this easy to use insurance sales rebuttal does the trick. It definitely does in our organization. I highly recommend it because it's simple to understand, simple to execute on, and the only things worth using in a performative business like insurance sales are the simple yet effective strategies. So just use this. You'll find it works incredibly well. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please, if you'd like to learn more about my agency, click the link above or below. It'll show you more about how my agency works. If you like this video, subscribe and like it. Leave a comment if you have a question below. Happy to take any comments you might have. And thank you so much as always for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye.